We ready?
We are ready.
Okay. So, originally the NASA lander was we pulled ideas to deliver bucket kits to elementary school classrooms. This is an example. To give kids an opportunity to learn to do some simple, low-cost things in STEM. The model is that you deploy the kit. It's not so much the activity as it is the person. So you send an engineer, scientist, engineering student, or science student, again, who's a normal person, okay? Kind, supportive, nurturing person, as opposed to, I will take the victim's brain and you get down on the floor with the kids and you help them do hands-on learning activity. The original deployment model is in any place where it can support teachers, elementary teachers when they're teaching science. If they have a unit that lines up, we do this. It's also to provide them with supplies, because where do elementary school teachers get their supplies?
Right, they buy
their own pocketbooks. Are they paid enough? They're not, okay? And so it was to provide them with supplies and activity, give them, their kids, some context for learning. It's been hard to do this in the elementary school classroom because there's so much emphasis on testing, standardized curriculum, and they have to have very complex lesson plans that are very structured, and then they have to teach to those lesson plans. So it's been kind of hit or miss as whether or not we can fit it into the schools or not. We've actually had more luck with some of the private schools than the publics, because the private schools sometimes have a little more freedom in determining what they do. But we go to scout troops, science fairs. We've done a lot with the Girl Scouts. We do outreach activities with kids at science fairs. Any place where they get an opportunity to build something and create something and see again that solving a design problem can be fun. Okay? And so this is an example. We went through a lot of development because the original PBS Design Squad design that they suggested you build doesn't work. And my marvelous undergraduate mechanical engineering student, Sadie Stutzman, did this testing, and we actually went to, we also use this as an icebreaker activity at professional meetings. And this lander and Popfly, you see very reserved people that never smile turn into 9-year-olds again, okay? And they start smiling and running around, having fun, and talking to each other, as opposed to sitting off in the corner with only the people they know and not communicating. So it tends to be disruptive, which is also part of my evil plan, okay? So Sadie and another student, another great student, Valentina Alian, and I went to Reno in 2017, and we did lander, and people came up with all kinds of really creative designs. I mean, there is a standard, but you don't have to build this one. You can build anything you want. The goal is to get the astronauts, so the background narrative is you're getting the astronauts back to Earth, and you've got to get them down to the ground slowly, okay? And so Sadie built this very nice PDF. This is an example of one design that we know works. So this is basically a big helicopter, and you use the index cards, you got your cup, you got the astronauts in here, you have the support looks, so it looks kind of like a lunar excursion module lander, and then you build it, and as you drop it, it spins, and it sort of aerobrakes itself and comes down to Earth slowly. The design challenge being that, you land on the ground gently and the astronauts don't pop out of the cup, okay? You can't tape the astronauts into the cup. That's the one thing I tell the students they can't do. Oh, look, I can just tape them in there, they're not gonna fall out. Yeah, no, it has to land vertically and gently so the astronauts don't bounce out. Okay, that's the criteria for success. Then Sadie put in all this great stuff with context about, with some extra information. And she puts in some questions, and so what she's trying to do, which I totally support, is provide some context for solving this problem, okay? Now what kind of things can you make? You can make the propeller, you can make a parachute. This was at the meeting. We had very reserved scientists who hadn't cracked a smile in years, standing on chairs and playing with their lander. This is the original design with these compressed index cards without the parachute. And if you just have these compressed index cards that act like springs, the cards compress, then they bounce back, and the astronauts pop out. So the idea was this was supposed to act like a cushion, but unless you've got some kind of shock absorber, then they just compress. It's just like jumping out of bed. You jump down, goes down, then you bounce up again. Okay? So you can make a parachute. There's the helicopter with extra cards. There's a flower. There's a mirror image where you take a cup and you cut another one, put it underneath, and the cut cup, those little tines act like again, like a parachute. And people made things with the index cards on the end. Then again, anything that makes drags. And got any ideas you want to try out? There is no wrong way. So often in a class setting, you know, the kit is resourced so that there's one set of supplies for every kid. But if they want to do try again, we need to resource for more than one set of supplies for each person, which is fine. And we then just let them build and try it. Okay, what we do in a room like this is we might have them here or have them stand on a chair with someone spotting them, so they're going to drop it about 6-7 feet, see if it gets to the ground, and the astronauts don't pop out. So your Jedi training is to build it any way you like, and see if you can get it to come to the ground without the astronauts popping out. And there's instructions in the kit. So the way the kit comes is it has all the parts you need: anchors, Dixie cups, hole punches, straws. One of the things we had to do was, if you just go randomly buy straws, you can have a fail because the straw has to be the right size for the anchor so it doesn't slip out. So although it's an elementary school outreach kit, we have specifications on the straws and the anchors, and even the index cards. They have to be stiff enough so that they don't collapse when it's falling. Okay? This is again something that Sadie worked out. And we have scissors if they want to cut, and we have instructions. Okay. So, welcome to Mrs. Miller's 5th grade science class. And we're going to get started building. And, oh, there's surveys. We have kids fill out a survey.
What's the youngest age grade you use?
Good question. For this one, 4th grade, 3rd grade, I have a couple that you can have kindergartners do. Hoop glider, I've done with kindergarten kids, they love it. This one's a little hard for kindergarten K1, 2. 3, 4, again, from 4th grade up. And the higher up you go, the more complicated it can become. You apply more analytical reasoning, you can talk about drag, you can talk about impact forces for older kids, high school kids, or college kids. For little kids, young kids, you just try to make it work and just do trial and error with it. Okay. So come on up and get yourself some supplies, instructions. Get yourself a cardboard base, a Dixie cup, some tape, some instructions, some straws, some anchors, and just try to build it. A hole punch. And though some of you may know Miriam, right? Miriam Dunbar, the master organizer. Okay.
Yeah, we helped build those kits.
Some of these kits were built in that STEM build day with Miriam. I can tell you that Sadie then got her Jedi training with Miriam, and Sadie learned the organizational techniques, so we did a build event a year ago in May, and Sadie ran the whole thing.
Are you guys gonna be doing another build event?
We need to do another build event.
I
We're-
have a suggestion.
We're out of money, we have to find money.
Well, when you find money, our kids
It can work,
can help. And
Yep.
we could do it as a volunteer day.
that can work, and that's how we did it before. Ms. Johnson and Ms. Jordan brought over people to CAO over on Trop. And, you know, you just came in and Miriam was there with a clipboard and said, Dave, you're going to that room and you're punching holes. Robin, you're going over there and you're cutting cardboard.
Yeah, I did when we did it as a staff meeting,
Yeah,
I was there that day.
yeah. So Miriam just had I've never seen anything so well organized as that. It was
Oh.
unbelievable.
Miriam is like,
Yeah, it was great. And everybody had a job, everybody knew what their jobs were done, and in 3 hours, we had them all built. It was amazing.
we could actually
Yeah,
set it
no.
up here and then, so each classroom can be a different
Yeah.
station.
Yeah, and then Miriam trained Sadie, and then when Sadie did it, she did it equally as well as Miriam did. Okay? You came in the room, and Sadie said,